going to go through some really brief slides, and then I'm going to jump online. And we're going to just go into the Ancestry website and kind of walk through all the different components of Ancestry.com and what's available. Hopefully we'll have the time to really get through about half of this. Our original plan is that next month we'll have Ancestry.com Part 2, and it'll be more the secondary resources they have, their newspapers.com and Fold 3 and their DNA and those kind of things. Today we're hoping to really cover just their main website, how to add people, how to combine duplicates, how to, do research on the people you have in your tree, that kind of stuff. Toward that end, I did start a little fake tree this morning, my demonstration tree that I'm going to start using, and I can make mistakes in it and all that. I did click the button so that it's not a public tree, in case I do intentionally make mistakes in it so that we can show how to fix them and stuff. I don't want there to be people online saying, oh wow, I didn't know they had 12 wives, click, 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 and start copying everything. So anyway, so today we're hoping to be able to understand just the basics of that website, all the different buttons and nodules. Again, how many people here have used the Ancestry website at some point? I'm guessing most of you have. How many have an Ancestry.com account? Like most. There are free trees you can do on their site. You can't access all the research and all the tools. Now, I can't remember, because I've had their account for so long that I can't remember which tools and stuff are always part of the paid account versus the non-paid. So I might be going through a few things as I'm clicking buttons that are behind the paywall, as they say. So my apologies if you get home and you start clicking and you're like, hey, I can't get into that. If that happens though, make an appointment with Lee, come back to the library, and when he's working, he'll be glad to get you online with the Ancestry.com account that the library has because of the generosity of the money that they receive from the state, and hopefully will continue to receive from the state. And he'll be able to get you on there, and he can walk you through it because he knows his stuff like the back of his hand, don't you?
Well, not quite.
Well, then we'll figure it out today.
You know better than I do.
If there's stuff you don't know, we'll just fake it. So anyway, we want to show how you build and grow your family tree through your account that you have, and then how to access and understand all the different tools and stuff that are on that main webpage. So that's what we're going to try to get through today. Next time then, we're going to talk about some of the other things associated with Ancestry. Ancestry DNA, Fold 3, which is primarily military records. There's sites that they have purchased over the years that were very successful, and Ancestry purchased them and put them under their umbrella. Most of them are pay sites, but for instance, Find a Grave you can still use for free, and it's amazing. You've used Find a Grave quite a bit. Find a Grave's an amazing site. Ancestry uses it, or owns it, but still has it as a free resource. So hopefully they'll keep it as a free resource.
Newspapers.com is fantastic.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So next time, we'll be talking through some of those and how to use them, how to link them back to your tree, that kind of thing. Okay? Especially the DNA, because I know a lot of us have done an Ancestry DNA test. They were just on sale.
Yes.
So hopefully everybody bought a test that didn't have one, because I think the sale just went off, but I'm sure there'll be another one for President's Day or Valentine's Day or I know Mother's Day, Father's Day, they always have them.
Yes.
Maybe
Valentine's.
They might.
And ballpark price, do you know?
This last time,
Jennifer, is that right?
Yeah.
What was that?
Well, I got mine a while ago, but I bought the whole world
Oh.
one, and I bought
different options on that too.
No.
And I got a real good deal on it, but it was like a sale.
they're $99 usually for the DNA test.
Oh, yeah, I did.
But during the sale that they just finished, they were $39.
So they can get them for 40.
But I'd go on there and look, maybe they still have a sale going on for a couple more days or something.
Just remember that everybody gets charged $10 shipping, it doesn't matter, there's always a $10 shipping fee.
I had my DNA done so long
like, probably close to.
Yeah, it's
not their date.
Mine too, yeah.
Yeah.
But
You
they
know,
just did a
I think the
huge
DNA 's
update to DNA. Ancestry
We
did.
don't have to submit new, they already
No.
have it.
They have
No,
it,
they shall do.
they reconfigure
New
it.
things.
Yeah.
They realign the different districts and areas and regions, and they just did their biggest ever alignment within the last couple of months. So go back in, if you haven't looked at your DNA report recently, go back in and look, because they've reconfigured some things and squished things and added new things. And that's-
I no longer have ancestry from North Africa.
What's that?
Oh, you don't?
That's out now.
That's
More
gone.
Southern Europe probably now.
Actually, no, it's Southern Europe's gone from it too.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I've had some odd little things in there that were just anomalies, and those have been weaned out now as well. Mine is very,
I'm looking at mine right now.
mine's very focused now on like, you're really Western European, that's it. Anyway, so next time we'll be doing those things. February the first?
First.
Is it the first?
It's the first.
So then it'll be March 1st.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
And March 1st, we're planning on revisiting Family Search and how to use that. Because we did one like a year and a half ago, I think, about how to use Family Search. But a lot has changed, and we really want to go back into that handwriting analysis piece that they have. That is the most incredible site that they have. It's in their beta testing stage, but they've added so many new things in just the last couple months to that. And you can find land records and wills and all kinds of stuff for people going way back. Anyway, that'll be March. Okay, so why do we use Ancestry? Well, pretty straightforward. We want the family tree building. I mean, you can go on there, have your family tree built by you and the little bots within the system that helps you find things and gives you suggestions about, hey, you might be related to this person. Hey, we found a document that might pertain to this ancestor, that kind of thing. So it is a really amazing tool. And a lot of people don't like it because the cost, and it's a for-profit organization, and that's fine. I love it. I've been paying for it for years, and I've said this to you guys a million times, but this is my hobby. If you add up the amount you spend on gardening or your cooking hobby or your quilting hobby or whatever it is, that adds up to money over the course of a year. This is my hobby, so I pay for my hobby. By paying for Ancestry, by paying for my subscription to Family Tree Magazine, which is incredible. Yeah, I've just been handing these out so everybody can take a look at them. If you don't subscribe to it, please think about it. It has the best resources in that magazine. It's not part of Ancestry, but they kind of an independent group, and they have the most amazing resources in there. But those are the things I pay for. It's my hobby. And it's a hobby I can hand on to somebody else eventually too. So they have historical records. As of May, they had over 80 billion records on their website. They and Family Search, between them, are both up in the billions of records. And Family Search has a similar number, and some of them are the same, but some of them aren't. So you want to look at both Family Search and Ancestry when you're looking at records. And surprisingly, even if you don't have a paid account with Ancestry, there are a lot of them that are for free. You can get the 1880 census, the 1850 census, or the 1950 census. Those are kind of the ones that everybody talks about. But if you go on and you look at the list of the free ones that are accessible without a paid account, it's pretty extensive. It's a pretty extensive list. But you know how it works. Every time you want a document, it's going to be on one of the sites that you have to pay for. So that's when you come and talk to Lee, and he'll hook you up here at the library. DNA testing, we talked about that. They have over 25 million as of last May again. I don't know how many they are right now, but last time I heard it was 25 million. That's more than the next biggest ones put together. They are by far the largest DNA testing resource in the world. 23andMe is the next largest, and their number is really stalled out since they had their data breaches and stuff. I have a 23andMe account, I don't care if somebody has my DNA. It's like, okay, what are you gonna do with that?
It's not like they can plant it at a crime scene.
I know, they just have numbers, that's all they have.
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's great for collaborating with other researchers. Not even just DNA, although that is great, it shows you all your DNA cousins, but it also shows you people who are also researching the same trees, the same people, and it allows you to kind of look at people who have similar trees, and you can reach out to them and say, hey, where did you get this information? Because that's an important thing to do. Make sure you find out where they got the information. If they said, oh, I heard it from my cousin, well, that's probably not a good solid source. Export data, you can pull things out of their records, save them to a folder on your computer, and now you have a permanent copy of that census record or immigration record or whatever it is. Ships roster. Then they have all the additional add-on sites and stuff too that are very helpful. So that's all I'm going to do as far as slides. We're going to jump right into Ancestry. And this is the home page for my account on Ancestry. Yours is going to look a little different because it's not going to have my picture saying hi Mark, that kind of stuff, obviously. But yeah, I'm logged in, so you can see over here on the top bar, this is my account. If you want to go in and change your profile or your account settings and things, this is where you do it, is over here. And I'm just kind of initially here going to go through all the different things that are on this main page before we move ahead and start looking at the different functions, okay? That'll give us a good overview of what it is we have going on. So you can go in here, if you want to buy a gift membership or something, you can click it. If you want to, now they have something called family groups. You can build a family group of people that are allowed to all work on the same tree. I think you can have up to, I don't even remember how many, 5 people or 10 people or something, and they can all be part of your tree, and they can have access to it and work on it, which is good and bad. You got to know you trust that person before you can send them into your tree.
Like that one cousin of yours that keeps changing the...
Flipping the name back and
Yeah.
forth, and I keep flipping it the other way. It's an endless cycle. So, and you can sign out of your account, too, which would take you just to their main anonymous website then, and doesn't have all the details that mine is currently showing. You can look here for help if you want help. These other tabs across here, let me see if I can click out of, there we go, get rid of that. This is if you have messages from any other people or messages you have sent. That will appear here, and it'll have a little red dot over it like this one does if you have a message that you want to take a look at. This gives you notifications of different things that they're recommending. It might say, hey, we think that's my grandfather, Everett Vernon. He's missing details about his marriage, view marriage hints. So they must have found something about my grandparents' marriage that they want me to take a look at, a possible link. So you can click on that and go take a look at it. And these people, I've never heard of that person. We think we found this person's father. I don't know who that is. Must be somebody deep, deep down in my tree. Because something you'll notice here too, when it talks about my tree and gives all the details. Well, where'd it go? Oh, I guess I can look right here. I need to look at the big board. Oh, it's once I go into my tree. I have over 30,000 people in my tree, so I don't always recognize all the names. So sometimes I'm like, who the heck is that? And then this one, you probably heard of the leaves that you can see that appear. You get a leaf, and it's a hint. And these are the most recent leaves that have appeared. And like I said, there's my grandpa, so there's probably some photo hints right down here. And those are all photos from my account that I'm sure somebody else copied. And so now it's giving me a hint back. Hey, here's some pictures of, because these are all pictures I put into of my grandpa and his mother and stuff. So, anyway. that's where you find those. I would caution you, if you're looking at leaves, don't just start migrating all that information immediately into your tree. Take a look at it, study it, make sure it's the right person and the right family in the right place, and all those things before you actually migrate it into your tree, just for your own sanity. Because at some point you're gonna, and I've done it a million times, because I used to not be nearly as diligent as I needed to be about that. You're gonna end up with multiple errors based on that, or you duplicate children and those kind of things. So, and we'll cover how to handle some of those. One of the things you can do here, though, you can click on these individual ones, top ones, or you can see all hints, and it'll ask you which tree. This is my demonstration tree that I just made. Then I have my tree, and then I had done a tree for a family friend a long time ago, and I still need to get her tree to her. I've told her many times, I can send you a JedCom. Anyway. And here you could click to hire an expert if you really want to. If you're hit such a hard brick wall and you know where it's located, you can hire an expert that has expertise in that place or that time period or whatever, and have them go look for you. So those are the main things over here. This side of the bar, of course, here's their home button. It just takes you to Ancestry.com. We are currently in my home page, but there's also a trees button, and it'll do a drop down, and you can pick which tree. I have multiple trees here. These two are ones that other family members have asked me to be an editor on, to go in and help them at different times. But you can create new trees. That's what I clicked earlier today in order to make my demonstration tree that we're going to be looking at. Oh, that's why it's recommending all these things, because I started a new demonstration tree based on my grandfather. And that's the tree that's open.
Oh, sure enough.
That's
Sure
why.
enough,
But
that's
see, if I
cool.
click Rambow family tree, it'll take me to my main tree. And that's why it doesn't say how many people are in it or anything either. So now if I go back to home, it's going to be on the Rambow family tree, and see here it's 30,975 people.
Okay, there you go.
Because otherwise it has 2 on the other tree that I just started. But I did that so that I can turn around then and show you guys, how to add stuff. Everything. So that's where you do that. If you want to add a tree or create a new tree, you do it right here. It's not going to ask you for anything except it'll pull up here, create a tree. And you can create a new tree, and I won't save this, but you just type in the person's name, probably yours, and then if your parents' names, and then it'll just take you to the page for that tree like we were just looking at, and start throwing ideas at you. Oh, maybe this is a photo, like it just did for me with my demonstration tree. It showed me all those pictures of my grandfather, because I started a tree based on him. So we're gonna close this one though, we're gonna go back, because I don't really need to start another tree. Although I have at times thought about starting over with my tree, just because I, years and years and years ago, added so much stuff that was based on other people's research and other people's, that I've thought about starting over and just person by person rebuilding my entire tree. But so far I haven't found an extra year or 2 in my schedule. So. Anyhow.
When you retire.
Yeah, that'll be it. Someday when I retire. So this is also then up here where you go into the search menu, and you can either search all their collections, or you can narrow it down by different types of collections. If you search all collections, it's going to include all those things underneath it too. But if you're looking specifically for military records, you can just select that, and it'll take you just to military records. Well, here. Why is it not? There we go. I was clicking weird. And it'll ask you, who do you want to search? If I start typing a name, it's going to pull up people from my family tree with that name. And it's going to say, is this who you're researching? And I'll put a V. See, there's my grandpa.
Mark.
So now if I click that, it's gonna populate all those things with his birth date, death date, and all that stuff. Yes, sir.
Do you want to be doing this on your tree, or do you want to be doing this on a demonstration?
I'm just showing what's available right now.
Just wanted to make sure that you were.
No, yeah, screwing up my
Yeah.
my real tree. But anyway, that's what will pop up. It'll populate everything. I have this on France because I was trying to do a search for some relatives and my wife's cousins that are in France that we just finally met.
One of the other things on this military page, if you look on the right-hand side, it says featured data collections. You can go down to
Yeah.
view all in card catalog. And if you know your ancestor was stationed at Fort Meade, you can pull up the post returns
Yeah.
and go through
You
each
type in
individual
a
return.
keyword here that's Fort Meade.
Yeah, and you can
And
read
search
through
that.
those returns.
Oh, no returns for Fort Meade. But let's say
And then you can look at
Deadwood.
through
Ooh,
all
misspelled
that stuff and see when they were there, if they got in trouble,
Nope, nothing there.
if they were court-martialed, that would be mentioned in the post returns. I've done that. The reason
Why
I
is it
know
not
about
like,
that
oh,
is
there we
because-
go. I typed in Dakota, and here it has all these databases that somehow reference Dakota. Oh, I put it in South Dakota, it probably would be fewer. I need to quit looking up there.
But so
Makes myself
you
dizzy.
can look at the information in those records without putting a person's name
Right.
in there if you know what record.
We're gonna go
it is
through
you
how to
wanna
use
look
the
at.
research tools and how to narrow your search by date or place or,
Yeah.
war, whatever it is you want. But that's all under the search tab as well. There are a couple other things here though that are interesting. These are more document-based. This one is public member trees, and it is everybody else's public trees that are out there. And you can search through them all to find an ancestor's name. And maybe if they all show parents for that ancestor, you didn't know the parents, you can then use that information to research and see if they're a link. Yes, sir.
Is that all public trees on Ancestry or?
On Ancestry, yes, on Ancestry.
So family search would not be?
No, but Family Search only has one tree. It's a world tree. When you put your tree in there, it merges with everybody else that's on there.
So it's very possible that
So-
people could get on this site and actually see the tree that bit on family search.
Theoretically, if somebody copied the tree and put it in here, yeah. But Family Search is just a world tree.
Right.
You don't have your own tree on there, although they have a new beta that is maybe changing things. And we'll talk about that in March.
And the public member trees, not everybody that has a tree on Ancestry has made their tree public.
Public.
Right.
You can click it as private, which I did with my demonstration tree, because I don't want people going in and looking at intentional errors. But see, here you go. This is where you put it in. You type in a name. It'll bring up the names that you have in your tree similar to that. Or you can just type in a name and not assign it to somebody. If you're looking just generically for a specific name. And then hit search, and it'll look through all these other public trees. See, here it has private member trees. You can search them. If it finds somebody, it's gonna tell you this tree has it, but it's private. And you can reach out to that person and ask them to share, would you mind me getting information or sharing information with you about this? So, I keep looking up. I gotta just look at my screen here. Okay, so I'm getting dizzy. The card catalog's a really neat resource too, which allows you to search by the title that you're looking for. If it's an immigration, ship, invoice, those kind of things. You can search by those keywords, the title of the document, if it's the 1870 US Census or the 1875 Dakota Territory Census or whatever, you can type that in there. Or a keyword if you're looking for maybe a certain region of the world or a certain county in a state. You can type that in and see what pops up. So, let's see here. Meade County, South Dakota. Let's see what happens, just as keywords. That might be too detailed a keyword search. Yeah, I gotta just say Meade County. I think I'm typing in too much information there. It's not finding anything. Okay, it gave us Meade County, Kentucky, and Meade County, Kansas. But there aren't any documents specifically in the card catalog titled Meade County, South Dakota. So doesn't mean they don't exist, but those weren't the right keywords to search.
I did come across one title, I don't know if this was a shipping deal for German immigrants.
Okay.
But I just thought maybe you might want to try that. It's spelled VERZEICH.
EICH
NISS.
NISS. What the heck just happened? There's some Meade County in there. Derzeich? I don't know if that's gonna. Nope, that didn't show up in the title. Did I spell that right?
No, you missed the N.
Oh, okay. Where's that? Right here?
NISS.
NISS. Okay.
Oh, you got it as deer. It's supposed to be me.
V. Ah, there we go. So yeah,
So that is good.
there are
Somebody
references in there.
Somebody gave me that as, I don't know if that was one of the big shipping.
So now in the card
companies.
catalog, it's gonna show you, these are the documents that we have available, and they look like mostly German, Prussian, documents. And you can go into those and look for an individual, so. Or browse for an individual in some cases, if those documents haven't been indexed. So if they haven't been searched through and indexed by names that are in them and stuff. Sometimes you can't find a person in a search, it doesn't mean they're not in a document. And you might need to go into the document and look through each image to see if you find that person. So hopefully they're indexed, So there's some really cool stuff here in the search, and we'll go into that in more detail as we start looking at building a tree. Memories, this is a kind of a new thing that they've added on here, but it allows you to build video galleries and albums and that kind of stuff. And it'll give you ideas of all the different documents you have in your tree already. That's why I'm using my real tree, because I don't have any documents in my fake tree yet. And you can use these then to build whatever it is that you're wanting to build, an album, to do stories, to do a photo gallery. See, and it has that. That's my dad, that's not my brother. I'll fix that. Anyway. So yeah, that's a newer thing, Memories is, and it's one of those things that might be behind the paywall for some of the functions of it, but I'm not sure. By paywall, I mean you have to pay for your account in order. And then here's your DNA results and stuff. Those we're gonna cover in detail next month, but basically you can go into your results summary here, and it'll show you all your background by region. It'll show you, these are the journeys, they now call them journeys, but it's, if your genetics show that you were part of an immigrant group that came to the US and then went to Wisconsin and then came to the Dakotas in large groups, then it'll show you those journeys as well. So it's pretty cool. It'll show you some of the matches you have and some of the traits. Least likely to enjoy dancing, and I can guarantee you that is genetically true.
The third one that says introvert or extrovert.
Yeah, I don't know where they get that. Actually, all the rest of my family are all pretty much introverts. Somehow I got that gene. Yeah, this talks about their newest update. They have 24 new regions and stuff. Then you can come down here and you can see different details about your DNA. Tips and tricks, how to use your DNA, all that stuff. But we're gonna go into DNA next month. I know that that's probably, and if we have questions, we can try to cover them today still too, but for the most part, we're gonna talk more about what's physically in here available to help build your tree. What's that?
Remember Schaffner?
Schaefer.
Schaefer.
Mhm.
Oh, so, yeah.
Yeah, Schaefer. My great grandmother was a Schaefer. Anyway, so that is the bar all the way across the top. Down here, there are two more tabs. This one's the For You tab, and it shows your homepage, which we're looking at. There's also this brand new thing here. It's a beta test. Anytime you see beta next to something, it means they're testing it out. It's something that they may be adding permanently to their website, but right now they're looking for feedback and looking for people to use it and give recommendations. This actually has a trivia thing about your ancestors that you can do. It has just kind of the same stuff that's on your main page, but it's kind of more interactive. See, this is the French cousin of my wife that I've been working with the last few days. I just found my wife's grandfather went to France in World War I and ended up marrying a war bride and bringing her back, and then she died, so their son got sent back to France to live with the grandparents and was raised there. So my wife has first cousins and stuff in France, and second cousins that we didn't meet, had never met till last summer. I just found some really cool documents though on Family Search that led us to some new discoveries on her. And so we've been back and forth the last few days a lot, emailing each other from France, because I need them to interpret them all. I don't know how to do that. Anyway, so that's my Ancestry feed. It's something to come back and look at, but it's kind of more fun, little things that you can do with your tree, and they give you suggestions for albums you can build and that kind of stuff. Let's move over to the right here. Your right, my right. This is a little bit of information about your own tree that you're in currently. I have an all-access membership. Like I said, I spend the money on it because that's what I do. I'm on Ancestry.com, I'd say every day. I spend a lot of time on it. If not every day, then some days I'm on it 3 or 4 times and make up the average easily. So my tree rating is 7.2 out of 10. I can boost that rating by adding more documentation to some of the ancestors that I currently have dates for and stuff, but don't have a document tied to it. It actually measures that kind of stuff for you. I do have Pro Tools. Here's where we'll talk about Pro Tools a little bit. Pro Tools is a separate subscription. It's $10 a month, I think, on top of your subscription. I do it because they have some cool stuff. But Pro Tools allows you to, it'll check your tree for you and do those scores and tell you, if there's problems with your tree. It'll look for possible duplicates between names, because you get back 300-400 years and you start having the same families pop up in different parts of your tree, but you don't know it, so you keep adding them, and now you have 2 or 3 of the same families in there. It'll find those for you and allow you to click a couple buttons and merge everybody, that kind of stuff. It'll filter things for you by different lines or events. You can click and say, Napoleonic Wars or whatever, and it'll search for things that are in that time frame. You can do lots of different charts and reports. You can look at your tree through a map, which is really cool. It'll show you where in the world your ancestors are based on a concentration of the number of people in your tree. It takes a minute. It has to think. Oh, sorry, this tree is not indexed. Please wait a few minutes and try again. So it must be indexing. We won't do it right now because it's kind of just a cool thing. It shows you a map though and it'll show across the US all the different states and how many people you have in those states and that kind of stuff, which is really cool. And you can zoom in and out, and look at different parts of the world and stuff. So there's some cool tools in the Pro Tools that I just think are fun, so I use them. I do think the tree checker is probably the tool that I use the most. I have it on the correct tree here, and I'm gonna hit tree checker. It's a shortcut. There we go. See, that's where I got my tree rating. There's 382 possible duplicates, and I have gone through those many times and merged things and ignored things and stuff. But it'll find stuff for you, you know, like, let's see if there's any here that are obvious. Oh, there's a lot of them that have question marks, that's why. Because in the old days, if I didn't know a name, I'd put a maiden name for somebody, I'd put a question mark. I'm trying to get rid of all that now, but I have a lot of those. So that's probably a lot of them, because I have gone through and gotten rid of most of them. But if you do see one and you come over here, it'll tell you what the problem is with that person's account. And the only sources attached to this person are online trees. It's telling me you gotta find sources for this, some actual documented sources for this person, so.
They might even exist in 1400s.
They might, they might, you never know.
Yeah, that is weird.
I have found a lot of surprises.
Especially
that.
the British Isles, they did have a lot.
They did, a lot of land records, lots of wills, lots of
The
that kind of
Ragman
stuff.
Hole.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't churches a good source too?
Yeah, baptisms and things, death records and cemetery records and stuff in churches, yep, those were really good. You know, you had some things during the Reformation where they destroyed a lot of records and things if they were the wrong church, depending on which side you were on, but for the most part, they still exist, so. Anyway, those are Pro Tools, there's some really cool stuff. Again, it's an extra little fee, and it's probably unnecessary, but something I enjoy looking at from time to time, so.
One
Go.
thing with the Pro Tools, you can, like, say you have a weekend, you can just subscribe to it for like a month.
Right, yeah.
And then go out of it, right?
Absolutely.
You kind of,
Yeah,
yeah.
just subscribe to it, fix all the problems it sees in your tree, and then unsubscribe, you know, a month later. So do it whenever it is you have a little time on your hands that you want to go back and try to fix your tree, that kind of stuff. You can also go down on the right-hand side here and just do a quick search. It's a good way to jump into search, you know, the search option from the very top. You can just jump right into it right there and just type in a name and birth year and hit search. Or you can hit advanced search and it'll open up the window that allows you to put in more details and stuff. It has the special record collections down here. These are if large bucket collections, okay? So if you know you're looking for documents from the 1790s, you can click on that and it'll automatically search for all the documents and records and things in the 1790s. If you want to look just at a specific one of these major groups. And then there's also some other tools and resources. You can put things in a shoebox. If you're ever looking at a document, you're not sure if it's you or not, you want to come back to it. Sometimes it'll give you an option to click shoebox at the bottom and you can click on it, put it in your shoebox. And then when you open that, all your items that you wanted to go back to and look at later are in there. Message boards, Ancestry Academy, if you want to go in and take some courses on how to do certain things within Ancestry, or become kind of an expert on immigration records or whatever. You can go in and see what classes they're offering. And you can also then go here and hire an expert. And the Ancestry swag store is kind of cool. You can buy an Ancestry.com hat, hoodie or something. Kind of sweet. I was thinking about getting it. I don't know. Travel to your ancestral homeland. They have travel tours that go to different countries that you can go with other genealogy nuts like all of us. I would say like me, but all of us. And go join up with them and go on a tour to Ireland or Germany or something and visit the homeland. Anyway, give a gift subscription. So some of these are repetitive of things we saw across the top of the page too. But you'll find that on Ancestry, there's usually 3 or 4 ways of doing everything. You know, there are always multiple options for adding a person or searching or whatever it is. There's always multiple ways of doing it, which is nice. So let's see, then on this main section here. Of course, here we have the different trees, and we'll be going to my demonstration tree here in a bit. But this is where you can also click to go right to your tree, and you'll see your pedigree chart. Over here on the right, or excuse me, the left side is some tools for using with your pedigree chart. And we will cover those when we go more through my demonstration tree. But there's a lot of different options here and here that you'll be wanting to use up here in the top right and over here down the left side that you'll be wanting to use while you're building your tree. If I'm skipping anything that somebody wants to know about, just let me know. Because I have a thing here I type down to follow, and I'm not following. I'm just winging it, so at this point I get scratch paper. Anyway, but here you can also look at different things based on your tree that are specific to you. I can look, these are clues and people I've recently been searching on my maternal line, but if I'd rather look at it by my paternal line, I can look here. These are recommended things that they came up with recommendations through the leaves and the hints and stuff that they think you should look at. They think they might have found a document or something. Tree hotspots. These you can assign hotspots, but you can also, these are the people I've looked at most recently in my tree. And last updated, these are the records that I most recently updated. So yeah, kind of just shortcuts to get to different points in your tree or points in your research. If you're like, what was I looking at when I closed this down last time? You can go to last updated or tree hotspot and it'll take you right to wherever it was you were last researching. Yeah.
I was just.
You looked like you were building
Yeah, I
up
know,
the
it's about
question.
to raise my hand. The recommend icon there. Do you also get like emails or anything from the site? I get them somehow from kind of a search about once a week or something.
Yeah.
You know, this relative might have been in the military, you know.
Yeah, you can sign up for those to get those from Ancestry. And that would be up here in your accounts.
Oh, so you can turn it on or turn it off? is what
I
you're
believe so, yeah.
Oh,
Under your
okay.
account settings. You should be able to turn that on or turn it off. Yeah. And probably with Family Search too, you can probably go into your account settings there.
saying. Okay.
So,
Just probably automatically defaults to.
yeah. And I get them multiples every day, you know. And they all go into my, one of my junk folders, I can't remember which one, into my promotions or my social or something. So, oops, there we go. That's another thing I was gonna say. I have 2 copies of my family tree open right here, 2 copies of Ancestry.com. When I'm working on my tree, I like to keep a couple copies of it open, because if I'm looking at a specific person in the tree and I have their profile open, and then I start researching something, I don't want to have to back up out of what I'm researching to try to remember their birth date or death date. So I keep them open separately, and then when I go in and I click on something that's a hint for them, see here's 22 hints from my grandpa because this is the tree I just opened. When you go to something, you can right click and say open link in a new tab. So now I'm not moving off of this page, I'm just moving a separate tab to look at that. But that page is still open. Because that way you're not moving away from the window you're trying to reference, you know. And I keep a couple copies of my tree open just so that I can go back. If I see a name and I'm like, is that person in my tree? I can jump over here to this site and I can search my tree and see if the person's in there or not, without backing out of anything else I'm doing.
I do the same thing, like you've got the 2 pages open for your grandfather, the tree, and then the next page. I will have the tree open, I'll have the person open, and then I'll go to whatever the document is.
Mhm.
That way, if I need to verify, okay, if there's other names that are mentioned in that document, are they people that are in this person's family?
Another thing, just to complicate this even more, when I'm doing this, I usually have at least 2 or sometimes 3 screens going. I add multiple screens to my computer. Usually just a small TV or a small monitor or something through a HDMI cable or a Type-C cable, just plug it in. And that way I can drag things to different screens and I can keep a reference open of the tree or the person I'm looking at and have other things going on other screens. It's great when you're like transcribing something. You know, if you have a document open and you're trying to type what it says in it into another document or into somebody's profile or something, you can just look at it and just transcribe it one screen to the other. So I usually have at least 2 screens open. I have a table at home that I sit down with my laptop and immediately plug in my other screen.
And I'll do that too, if I'm working on family search. I'll have Ancestry, the tree open for that, as well as family search. And sometimes I'll have the person pulled up on both of them, and I'm jumping back and forth between. There are times I'll have like 12 or 15 tabs open
Yep.
as I'm researching.
Absolutely, I do the same thing, so. Don't be afraid to have multiple tabs, but if you want to open a separate tab and not move away from the window you're in, you go over top of the hyperlink like I'm doing here, you right click, just open link in a new tab, and it'll just appear right up here then. It's the link, but it's just in a new tab. It's still tied to your tree. You can still save it to the person that it recommends, all of that stuff. Yeah. That's probably my grandpa right there. Huh, I've never seen that picture. Very cool. Anyway, yeah, that's my grandpa there. Those are pictures from mine then, all of these. Anyway, I haven't seen that one before though. So that's kind of cool. Something new that popped up based on the hints. So we were here, and that came from the hints that are offered under the recommended. You know, it's gonna have these little hints and clues here and stuff. If you keep going down, it's gonna show recent DNA matches, cousin matches and stuff for your DNA test. It's gonna show different yearbook information. Of course, I find my dad in many, many yearbooks because he was a teacher for 35 years. So, there's photos that other people have that you might want to take a look at. Hints from the census, potential ancestors. You keep looking down. It's just, it keeps going. You know, and there's all kinds of things. Here's traits from my DNA. Here's my DNA stuff again. Upcoming birthdays, you know. Of course, these people are all dead, but I had one today, though, that was, they would have been 130 some years old today, but she only lived for 10 days originally. I went back and looked at her, I'm like, dang, I don't even remember that person. And she died at 10 days old in Russia. Married 92 years ago today. You know, it's fun stuff. It doesn't matter, a lot of it, but if you keep going down to the bottom, after you go past some great videos about ancestry, I've watched a lot of these already, because that's one of my YouTube channels that I subscribe to. Down here on the very bottom of this page, they have shortcuts to Fold 3, newspapers.com, archives.com. These are all the different things that they own. Not all of them, because Find a Grave's not on there. I did notice that. But if you want to go to one of their other sites, and you click this, you'll stay logged in through your Ancestry account, and you'll go right to newspapers.com or Fold 3 or something. And you can start your research there.
Well, one thing to go
Yes, sir.
Mark, when you hit the videos, it just popped into my mind. If you follow or watch Finding Your Roots on PBS,
Mhm.
the new season starts Tuesday.
Yes.
Really?
And this time, the lady that does all the DNA analysis for them, the blonde lady, she is doing his.
Yeah.
Family tree.
He's,
She's gonna go, what's his name, the host?
yeah.
can't think of his name.
Yeah.
It's right on the tip of my tongue.
Henry, is it now?
Henry Louis Gates,
There it
Gates,
is.
yeah.
something like that.
We have a joke in our, well.
He's
I
the
have-
best.
I have a joke in our house, because what he always says is, how does that make you feel? Like, he'll tell you just some terrible thing about, like, you
Yeah,
know.
slavery
Yeah,
or
what your
something.
relative did, and then he'll say, how does that make you feel? So
Well,
that's-
horrible,
That's our
of
joke in
course.
our house.
How does that make you feel? Oh, I love that show.
I know. I
Yeah, and he's gonna get his tree done this
Yeah.
time. His book of life.
Okay.
Does anybody else watch that? Finding Your Roots?
I've
PBS?
heard of it.
Oh, it's the best show.
And there's, you know.
They're all celebrities and stuff, or
Yeah.
famous authors or
Yeah.
whatever.
I found a way to like, somehow I found all the past seasons. And so that opened up so many more seasons that I've been watching
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
So,
If you go onto the PBS app on
and I subscribe to PBS.
YouTube or on, you know,
Yeah.
just online, they have all the past
They're really
seasons, and you
cool.
can go back and watch them all. They're really cool.
Yeah.
So that's kind of everything on this homepage. Does anybody have any questions about any of that stuff I just covered? Any thoughts? Yes.
I have just, and I don't know if this is a good question, but sometimes I think, well, why should I go and look through some manual, like collections? Won't it give me a hint if it hasn't? But, and I think I know the answer to that, just because they have a collection.
Doesn't mean they've been indexed.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a perfect example of this, and I was telling Mark about it. My great-great-grandfather, I found him in the 1860 census. I found him in the 1880 census. I had never been able to find him in the 1870 census. Well, I found him here not too long ago through his wife, my great-great-grandmother. Found him in the 1870 census in Kansas. However, the way that they were, whoever had transcribed it had spelled the name
Wrong.
wrong.
So it
The
would
last
read to
name
you.
is Foster. Whoever had transcribed it had put it as Fasten, Fasten, instead of Foster.
That's not
And I looked at the actual census record, and I'm like,
How did they get
how did
Fasten
they
out
get
of that?
Fasten out of that? And the first names aren't there, but it's the initials are there.
Yeah.
And all the initials match my family members, because it has first and middle initial. And I know the first and middle name, and they all line up. So that's another reason why sometimes looking at the record itself, you might go, wait a minute, this is the person I'm looking for, but they're not indexed. Well, and it might be on the side because whoever transcribed it,
They did.
they couldn't read the handwriting and put down what they thought it was. I've seen that in other places where somebody has a U in their name, in their last name, and whoever puts it in puts an E and an I.
Yeah.
That's a good
Okay.
point.
So,
We're going to jump on to how to use the search functions. If that's okay. Anybody have anything else before we move on to that? I just want to look at that because like you were saying, there's ways to search that make a difference.
you gonna do it on your tree or you gonna do it on your?
I'm going to do it on my tree,
Okay.
because then I have people to search.
Okay.
So, but at some point, we'll go back, and I do want to show how to add people and stuff, and I'll do that on my demonstration tree. So if you click just the all collections, it'll take you to this page where it just is everything. Okay, everything they have in their 80 billion plus records. Some of those, as you were saying, are indexed, every name indexed, and a lot of them aren't. So it won't always find your ancestor in every record if it hasn't been indexed yet. If somebody hasn't gone through and identified every name that appears in that document. When we get to the discussion about family search in March, their new handwriting analysis AI tool is incredible because it looks into those documents, analyzes the handwriting, and finds the people for you, which is just, it's amazing.
Wow.
It's amazing. If you haven't used it yet, I am finding so many breakthrough documents. I just found all of my ancestors, your ancestors, the Carters in North Carolina who were married with the Boones.
Oh,
I just found James Carter's will, and it mentions both your ancestor and my ancestor in his will.
Really?
Yes,
Ooh,
so,
that's pretty cool. And that was through that handwriting analysis?
yeah, it's from that website.
That's
So,
gonna be a game changer for these.
yeah, it is, it's a game changer, and it's an amazing tool, so when we talk about that in March, you guys can see how awesome it is. Here, however, we are linked to either looking at by name or location or record collection, that kind of stuff. So if you're searching for a particular person in your tree, and we'll keep going back to my grandfather just because I've kind of started with him, and I want to do it, I can select him and then click here because his name popped up. When I typed in Everett, his name popped up, so I select him. Whoops, I unselected him somehow. There we go. And it automatically added all of his information in here. That can be good or bad because it's gonna look for all that information in the records. Sometimes you need to pull out some of these things. If you're looking for a specific document or something, and it has death dates and everything, but you're looking just for one document when he was in school or something, you know? Sometimes it'll take you astray by having too much information. But as it currently is, all of his data came up, so I hit search, and you'll see that it brings up all of the hits for all of these categories over here. Every year, every range, there's photographs, there's newspapers, there's census records, there's birth, marriage, death, BMD records, there are court records, everything. Okay, and it'll show you here a breakdown of what categories they found his name in. Now that doesn't mean all of those are him. All of them have similar names to what I put in and similar results up here. But if you come back up to the top, of course here up on the very top is your information from your tree, just so you remember who you're looking at and their basic information. There we go. So now we'll select my grandfather. All of his data automatically filled in, except here they have this misspelled. So I'm gonna fix that to Meade. Well, it did pop up. There we go. When you type in a place, it will bring up suggestions. And these are formatted the way Ancestry likes them to be formatted. So if you see a suggestion that fits, select it, because it will.
So what do you think is the best? Is it best to go with like Sturgis, Meade County, South Dakota, USA?
Yeah, they
or
like you to
just-
start with the smallest and work up to the largest.
Right, but then quite often it will have like Meade County, well, South Dakota, USA, and sometimes it doesn't have USA.
Right.
Is there any
It depends on how
preference?
often people have used that descriptive term.
Only thing you're gonna have to be cautious with on that though, is like, say, around the 1889, when the state became,
Yeah.
we were Meade County.
Sometimes
Before that.
it'll recognize that.
So you'll have to watch that.
Yeah,
We were
sometimes
Lawrence
it'll
County.
recognize it
Oh, really?
and take
Yeah,
that into
we were
account
Lawrence.
for you.
We were Lawrence County before 89.
Before 1889, this was Lawrence County, yeah.
Well, and the nice thing too is within your parameters, it's usually like, it might be set broadly enough that it would pick up majority
Yeah.
county.
Because up here now, once I hit search, you'll see, okay, because I'm in the correct tree now, my apologies for that. All right, so now I have 5,014 hits, but you'll look down here, these are all the details that I have in his full
Was
file.
our county seat.
And they're all tied to him, but you can see they're tied, they're all hitting at the very broadest,
89, when we became a state.
they're all hitting at the very broadest search criteria. So if you want to narrow that down and get this number a little smaller, unless you want to look through 5,014 documents, and sometimes that'll be 20,000 or 30,000. If you want to look through that many documents, go ahead. But you can also drag this over and it'll give you different options. Exact, similar, or sounds like. Exact, sounds like, and similar. Exact and similar, or exact. So you can drag this over a little bit, same with the last name, and then go back down and apply those changes. We'll see if that number changes at all. Okay, so now it's down to 280. just by narrowing the vision of the parameters of your search, how broad you're doing it. If you want to do the same with one of these locations or with a spouse's name or something, you can do that. Because right now, these are all the data that it's incorporating into the search. So if it finds one of his siblings in a document that he might be in, or if it finds the children in there and he's listed as a father, it's gonna double up, looking for those because of all the data there. So,
Like that baby boy?
baby boy, that was my dad's older brother. He was never named, didn't survive.
Oh.
And that's how he was listed in the Bible, baby boy,
Huh.
birth, death, date were, I think, about the same. Or they were the same. So the other way you can narrow this now, so let's say you're down to 280, and you come down here and you look and you can see, oh, these are where the different documents are. There's census records, there's birth, marriage, death, there's pictures. And I don't really need some of these things like the court. The family trees, it doesn't give you a number because there's usually a lot of them. Or if you come down and you say, well, I don't need any records from Europe or Oceania because, this is in North America. He was born here, raised here, died here. So you can click on that and it'll narrow it down just to those 270. But now it's also going to say, okay, we have some in the US and Canada, so you can narrow that down to just the US. But now it's also going to give you all the states that those records come from, and it'll tell you how many are there. So you can narrow it down by state. So we're going to say, well, let's go to South Dakota. There's 7 records from South Dakota that list my grandfather. Some of these are city directories, it looks like. Well, all of them are city directories. 1945, 1954. So you can see I could go through then and download every one of those city directories as a record of where he lived at different points in that spectrum of time. Okay, so that's how you can narrow down and kind of bring these number down here. Instead of 5,014, we're down to 7 now, records. If I want to go back one click and just get rid of the Pennington County and just go to just the ones from, oh, this is just USA. I got rid of all the South Dakota. So let's see, though. He was born and raised in Kansas. Let me see if there's any in Kansas. I'm not seeing any. Does anybody else see Kansas in there anywhere? So yeah, he doesn't show up in any Kansas records, so that's telling, Anyway, you can really narrow these search parameters by both methods. You can go up here and you can narrow down the search parameters on the top with their name and their location and their birth year, that kind of stuff. So like born 1908, if I'm like, well, there was another guy by the same name, but he was 100 years earlier. I can narrow this down to plus or minus 10 years, plus or minus 5 years, plus or minus 2 years, either side of his birth year. And that way, you're eliminating some of the people with similar names and that kind of stuff who were born, in totally different periods of time. And you can, again, narrow down the number of hits you get that way. So you can do it there. You can come down here and narrow it down under these categories: locations, documents, types. If I just want to look just at pictures, I can click on that, and it'll only show me just pictures that are in there. See, and some of these are not in, definitely. That is a picture I put in. Here's a couple private member photos that people have a private tree. And we talked about private trees. If you want to look at that, it's going to say you can't, but you can contact this person who owns the tree and ask them for permission, and maybe they'll share it with you.
Have you found people to be very,
Generally, if they reply at all.
Okay.
Now, some people do this, and then they never visit their tree again. And you'll find that in the DNA a lot. A lot of people are just curious, hey, I wonder what my, admixture would say where I come from. And so they'll do a DNA report, and they'll put their immediate family into it just so that they have a point of reference. And then they make it private, and they never go back and look at it again.
I've got one of those that I know it's a relative, because back before, when I was doing this, when I was younger, before the internet was available, communicated with her through letters and whatnot. Got some information from her. I found her tree,
Yeah.
you know, and I've tried, you know, but I can't contact her because she's dead.
Mhm.
And I have no way to link her tree or
No.
get some of her, the information that she
And she
has.
didn't turn her tree over to somebody else,
No.
so.
Well, that's unfortunate, that's,
Yeah.
yeah, if people are gone or incapacitated in some way.
Well, I gotta admit you, sometimes I receive messages and I don't look.
Yeah.
And then it's like a year later, it's like, oh, man.
I know.
Sorry,
How
I
did I
just
miss
spotted
this?
this.
Yeah.
Are you still in need of this information? Yeah.
You were looking up your grandfather here, and you were asking us to see if we saw Kansas on that.
Yeah,
deal.
on that drop down.
But this other tab over here, further on near the top of the page, has Kansas.
This list?
record. Isn't that weird? No, just below that. You see Kansas.
Fourth one down.
Right here?
It's under.
These are documents I already have attached to it.
Oh, so you attached.
Yep,
Okay.
these are documents I already have attached. Oh, and that might be why there's no Kansas documents, because I've already attached them. And you can
Oh,
actually
sure.
exclude these records.
Oh, so it's not including those, 'cause you're.
Yeah. So I have it as active to exclude the records I already have. See, that's why there weren't any Kansas. I'm surprised I have all the Kansas records already in there. But I have 37 results already in my tree for it, because I've done, obviously, a lot of research on my grandpa, so. So that is one of the ways you search. There is some other cool stuff here, though. When you first put in, I think you saw that little map down here, too. You can explore by location for his records. You can explore by document types over here. So all of those options still exist. You can click on those and go for this person specifically. Prior to that, though, you can also go into the search and you can do the same thing here. So if we go into, let's say military records. I don't have anybody assigned to this military record. I haven't selected my grandpa or anybody else at this point. So I can go in, it's just military records now that we're looking at, and I can type in the name of one of my ancestors. And it'll bring up a whole list, because there's a lot of Hugh Cadens in my tree. Here, this is the guy. So I select him. Whoops, I already did. And I hit search, and it'll only look for military records at that point, okay? And you can see it's gonna give me, he was in the Civil War, but here there's World War II Navy muster rolls and that kind of stuff. So again, I wanna go up here, and I wanna narrow these windows. It's gonna give me anybody who sounds like Hugh, so there's Henrys and there's all kinds of stuff, probably John, because Hugh is a form of John. James, Henry, so it's gonna find anybody with an H in their name, that kind of stuff. So you wanna narrow that down by name. I wanna narrow down the ages when he lived and died a little bit and reapply it. And see if that 920 goes down. Oh, they didn't even find him.
Is that
Let's,
because you have?
see, and I narrowed it too much, but I already have a lot of records on him, so I might have already, because I'm eliminating all those records that I already have for me. So.
And one thing that I've found, Mark changed a couple of things on there and got no records. What I've found is change one.
Change one.
And then search. And
And
if
then-
that still gives you a big one, then pick the next one and
Yeah.
change that. And just make one change at a time.
One change at a time. If you do a bunch of them and it doesn't give you anything, then you kind of have to dial couple of them
You
back
can go
again.
back the other way
See,
too,
yeah.
yeah, that's true.
So, but yeah, doing them one at a time is a really good idea. So, that is kind of everything on the search. So let's go in real quickly. Does anybody have any more questions about search? Any of that stuff? I do want to try to show you a little bit about how to start a tree. And I showed you earlier where it has up here on trees, and you go in and create and manage a tree. That's what I did today. I typed in, I clicked that, and it took me into that window where I could create a tree. And I got to name it, and I named it Demonstration Tree, just so I don't ever, accidentally say Rambow Tree 2 or something
Yeah.
and mess myself up. Although it's been confusing for some reason. So now I can go to that tree. And I've only typed in 2 people. I typed in my grandpa and my great-grandpa. My great-grandpa, we're not sure who his parents were. We know who his mother was, but not his father. His father died before they came over from Germany.
So that's a
The
brick.
mom brought him and his siblings over from Germany then.
That's a brick wall.
That's a brick wall. We have somebody in there who's a potential.
Okay.
And most of my relatives have all put in there
Okay.
as the dad. We know his name was John Johann in Germany, and that's all we know. But this guy died at the right time, was the right age, and in the right area, and all that. So people have kind of drawn the conclusion that that's the right guy. This is what it's gonna do, though. I typed in 2 names, and it's giving me ideas. And I can tell you, this is my great-grandmother. Just because I've already done this. But if I wanted to, if I'm brand new, and this is the first time I've typed all this information in, I can look at it and say, oh, okay, let's review the details of this. Select that, and it's gonna bring up over here on the side all the details about when she lived and died, where, and you kind of look through that and say, well, wait a minute. My grandpa was born in Cherryville, Kansas. That's interesting. You can look through it all. It tells you what records they have that show the relationship, either as a parent or as the spouse. And you can select any of these and go into it, that record, and see if it's clear that it's the right person.
And if you know.
Photos.
If you know where that person did live and the dates when they were born or when they died, you can see, does that match with what comes up here?
Right.
With what I know
So
already.
it's gonna give you a potential, and this is what we were saying at the very beginning. You start a tree, and it's gonna start thinking for you. All the tools within Ancestry are gonna think for you and start saying, wait a minute, this person's born in this right time, and this is the right parent, so this is the other correct parent. And here's some ideas of who that might be, and, documentation, as it were. There's photographs here. Most of these are originated with me, but other people have used them. This is a photo I have that I put on the tree, and then this person who I've communicated with before, she put it as Graham Rambow, Everett. I've never heard anybody say Graham Rambow. That's weird. I didn't mean that disparagingly. Then there's also family. So if you want to look at who are the other people in that immediate family, to see, wait a minute, he did have a brother named Frederick and another named Herbert, that kind of thing. You can then go back and say, okay, this is the right person. So since this is my fake tree, I'm going to hit yes, I want to link her. And you can see it added her right into the tree. And now, within a few minutes, it's going to start thinking again. And it's going to start saying, okay, what other things? And you can close this and get rid of it. In the meantime, I know this is the correct mother, because I've, again, done all this research previously. But I know this is the correct mother. That just a few details. Maybe I have to open it. Yep, I do. So again, here's 11 records. All the arrival records at Castle Garden, Ellis Island. That's a really good resource for you right there. Arriving passenger and crew lists, New York. But you're in Baltimore.
Baltimore for sure on the one, I'm not sure on the one,
Okay.
Sun Valley, but Luckily, my uncle, if he ever gets back in the States, then I can talk to him.
Yeah.
What he did on my mom's, because when I started building this with Family Search, pretty much it took what he built on this and found it out there, because he left it public, and it multiplied, and I got relatives that all of a sudden popped up to the 1500s back in Germany.
Mhm.
They're like, whoa, really? You know, and I didn't even, you know,
Yeah.
so all I did was put.
All you have to do then is this, you
Right,
can
my
add
mom's
and add and
right
add.
maiden name,
Mhm.
I think I had to go one step further and do my grandparents' maiden name too.
That's
And
awesome.
then boom.
It just goes.
Yeah.
That's what happened my very first time I went to the Family Search Library in Rapid City in the 90s. I went in and typed in one name and it went back and back and back for 1,500 years.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
my dad's side of the family is the hard one, because no one really did.
Yeah, yeah, and we all have those, like I have that right here with the Rambow site. You know, I don't know anything once they get here before that in Germany, just don't have it. So yeah, I know this is the correct person. I've looked at all these documents, I say, yes, this person fits. There's a photo, there's family information, so I'm gonna add her, and boom, she's added. But see, it already brought up ideas of who her parents are.
So why hasn't it brought up anything on the Amanda?
That's a good question.
It's taking its time.
It's taken its
Has it
time.
popped it up right away over?
It should, no. But the other thing you can do, there's a leaf.
Okay, and that's what I was gonna, that's what I was gonna
And
say.
those are on their commercials all the time. It says to you, I got a leaf, you know?
Yep.
The leaves
Go
are
leaf.
awesome, but you gotta be careful.
Right.
I'm just gonna say.
The biggest thing with the leaf is to watch out for the other people's family trees.
See, and that's what
See, I
usually,
know I have a lot of errors.
usually the top one here is other people's family trees.
So I
It's the
usually
first
bypass
one you
that
look
to the
at.
last.
And here it just popped up now with
Oh, there we
potential
go.
parents.
Oh, there it is.
So when I went into her a little deeper, it did find the potential parents, and those are her parents. And here's mostly photographs and things that she is. It's basically gonna be all the documents and things that were in the other thing when I first looked at her thing. Here's what you gotta watch out for. These are people's family trees, okay? It's great to review them. You can go in, it'll bring up the tree, it'll say this is what this tree has, and this is what you have. Is this the right person? Right face, right dates, everything. This is the right person. I'm gonna do something here real quick that I probably, if it were my own tree, wouldn't do. I'm gonna add this, okay? Just so you can see how it looks when you add
So you
something.
can add the things you want and not add.
That's what you can do right here.
Because I have found middle names sometimes by
Yeah.
going through some of this. Well,
Now-
I think
Yeah.
they're middle names.
Once
but
you click
at
to
least I have
add,
something now.
it pulls up this window right here. And it allows you to match line for line everything. It's gonna say new, if there's something that's new to what you have. And it's gonna say different, if it's different from what you have. So this one says different because they added her married name on the end. I don't deal in married names usually for the women in my tree. I try to do maiden names exclusively when I can. Every once in a while, if I don't know a maiden name, I don't want somebody floating around out there as Sarah. So I will
Oh,
put
yeah.
Mrs. Sarah, and then I'll put their married last name, just so I have a place to plug them in. And then as I search for them, I desperately try to find their maiden name so I can get rid of that Mrs. So-and-so. Yeah.
One of the ways it got weird for me was with my mom being adopted, and I was trying to search for her birth parents, but it got extremely confusing when I was trying to, you know, show an adoption type.
Yeah, we can show that too.
relationship. Yeah.
If you want to, we can show how to do that.
I think I did see, eventually there is a way, right, that there is an adoption, adopted parents versus birth parents, but, yeah, it got weird.
I am gonna add all of this stuff, just because there's a couple mistakes here that I wanna show you how to fix,
Yeah.
okay? So I clicked here. If you wanna add something, you can either add it by individual items here, and I'm not changing anything from what I already have for her, except adding the marriage. If I'm like, I don't think that's right, I can unclick those, and it takes it off of my screen here. But I'm gonna keep those two details.
See, and I found some marriages by using this too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Eventually it'll tie it to a license.
Yeah, and that's the best thing to do. Look at the
Right.
date,
Right.
write it down, and go look for the document that proves it before you add their research to your tree, unless they have a document already that proves
Does
it.
it say on there whether it's based on a document or if it's just based on?
What you can do is, you can go back to the previous screen,
Oh.
and there's a thing there that you can look at their tree. You can go right in and look at their tree, and it'll let you go in, and then you can select that person and see if they have documents attached or not. This window won't show that. This window is just selecting what it is you want to add. If I already had her parents and it listed the name differently, so it was listing double parents, you can click here and say not a new person. And it'll take that person out. I'm gonna hit cancel because it is a new person. Same with the spouses and the children and stuff. So, but I have clicked those, so now it's adding all the information. These are all the children. I'm gonna go through. This is the mistake that I was talking about. There's two Ednas.
Like, yeah, you gotta watch that.
And people do that because they might have taken this information from two different people's trees, and the name was just different enough, or the dates were just different enough, that the system added them as separate kids, but they're the same one.
Or they have them, one of them has them listed first name, middle name, and then the last name. And then another one has it just the first name, and
Yeah.
they put it down as two
Yeah,
separate.
or
people.
sometimes it'll be the first name, middle name, last name, and the other one will have the first name, middle name, married name.
Yeah.
So they'll have their married last name, and so then it lists them as a separate person as
Okay,
well.
so now you're down to other children.
These are siblings of her siblings. So let's click them, because this is my test tree.
And this is what
This is something you do not do. I'm showing you what not to do.
This is something I have to watch out
Yes.
on mine with my great-great-grandfather, because his name was James Harrison Foster, born 1817 in New York, lived in Iowa. There is another James Harrison Foster that was born in New York in 1817 that lived in Washington, D.C. And
Oh, yeah.
census records, my ancestors in Iowa married with his children. This other guy is living in Washington, D.C., married with his wife and children, same census.
Mhm.
People have combined them on their tree
Yep,
because it's the same name, born the same place in the same year.
yeah.
So it's gotta be the same person. They didn't even look, and they had the census records for both of them.
And we've talked about naming protocols that people used to do, naming patterns. And, you know, if they were related, they probably had the same names in the going through
Yeah,
the
but I've
family.
not found a
Yeah.
connection between.
Not yet, huh?
Not yet.
So I just selected all of these people, because that's what I'm doing today. I'm just trying to get as many people on this tree as I can.
Would you show adoption?
And I'm gonna click. We'll show you how to do adoptions and stuff, okay? And how to change like a parent to a step parent or whatever. Once these people get added. Because so it's thinking, you can see it up here, the wheels are turning, it's thinking. Because that's a lot of people to add. And now, there you go. So, let's say we wanted to change, we're like, oh, some of these were step kids, okay? Some of these were step kids, and we want to change that. So you go up into your, is it in edit? Edit relationships, right up here.
Oh, okay.
And it'll open up all the people she's related to in the immediate family, her parents, her spouse, and all the kids. And right here is where you come over, and you can say, under spouse, whoops, cancel, I don't want to cancel him. I want to click there, spouse, partner, friend, single, other, unknown. For a spouse. So if it is, and I've seen this where, you know, they weren't married, but they had a kid. That's the perfect place to go in and say, partner. Okay? This is the perfect place to go in and say, instead of a biological kid, adopted, step, foster, related, that kind of thing.
So then you could have a biological mother and you could have
Yes.
an adopted mother.
Yep, what you do then is add alternate mother right
Okay.
here. So you can add a mother, you select somebody from your tree, or you can add a new person.
This used to exist several years back.
Yeah, but it's harder
Was
to
there?
find.
Yeah, probably.
I think it was harder to find.
Yeah.
So you can either type this in and it'll bring up names from your tree,
Okay.
or you can add a new person.
Yeah.
And then it's gonna give you the same drop-down list next to it.
Adopted.
Yeah, and I'm gonna cancel.
Oh, that's neat.
Okay, so that's how you change those relationships. Yes, sir?
Well, you talk about that, then can it also then break down where you have half siblings because of the same mother or something?
Yes.
That-
Yes, you can, yeah, you put in, you can go through each child and do the relationship, if they're a step or a biological. And then the system will, it'll measure that. So when it shows the two kids, it'll say half sibling, that kind of thing. Because right up here, hold on, right up here, it doesn't say it. Let's go back to my other tree, because I have two open. And I want to look at my tree.
Those are my grandfather's adopted.
Oh, there we are.
But I know.
So right now, if I go into my grandfather here, it's gonna tell me the relationship to the, see, paternal grandfather's listed. So it's gonna tell that because I'm the home person on this tree. I'm the person who's been set, and you can change that. You can change who the home person is if you want to see the relationships between other people. Just remember to go back and change it back when you do. But see, it lists it as paternal. So if I go down here and look at his siblings, which is this little drop down, I can click on one of his siblings, and it's going to tell me that's my grand uncle, based on the relationship to the home person that you set up as the main person in the tree. In this tree, I still have my grandpa as the home person, so, but I don't think I set him as the home, so I'll have to do that. Anyway, I want to look down this list though. So we have Everett, LG, Frederick, Herbert, Lucille, Edna, and Edna. Well, I don't think that's right, do you?
They have the same birthday, but not the same.
Exactly. So I know these are that's Edna, and she didn't die in 1978. I believe she died sooner than that. Let's look here real quickly. When Edna died in my tree. I don't have Edna. Oh, that's the brother. Never mind. Let's go back and look at siblings. Edna died in 1933. That's what I was thinking. So we have her listed here twice. So I'm going to select one of those. And then you'll see there are a string of different options right here. And you can see those you can turn on and off under your tools. You can say, show research tools. If I turn that off, it's going to get rid of those, and you'll need to go into this drop down in order to do all these things. I like having those there so that I can quickly just click on them. There's other things in here too if you want to view notes that you've made, comments you've put on that person, or merge with duplicate. I have these down here, so what I want to do, and somebody was asking me about merging duplicates. I can't remember who it was.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
Yeah, so I'll click merge with duplicate. It's gonna search and see, is there anybody who could possibly be a duplicate? And it found it for me. It said, yeah, this is probably a duplicate, same name, same birth year, same parents. So all I have to do now is select. If that didn't recommend somebody, I could type in a name down here and it would search my tree for that person. So if I know of somebody who's a duplicate and maybe they're all by themselves and they're not assigned to parents or anything, so it doesn't catch it, I can type in their name there and pull up the duplicate. So now I'll hit select and it brings up both of them side by side. And it gives you the birth date, death date, all that stuff. I'm gonna go with this side because I know that's the correct death date, so I don't really trust this side as much. You have to measure that.
And sometimes it'll tell you.
Parents are listed, they're correct, all the same, it says same. If there was different information, it would tell you
At
different.
the top, does it say if there's any records based?
No, you have to go in and look at that.
Well, somewhere I go in and it actually says that it's back based on records.
Oh, maybe it's further down. Additional
Well, you're
information.
Somehow you're in a different.
These are all the siblings, photos. Oh, here's facts and events. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, source and media, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, here's sources and facts and events. Yeah. So I'm gonna hit merge, and you'll see it just saves one based on the things I selected. I can go back and forth between those two things and click, well, I want this birth date and that death date, if you want to. So now I've merged her, and I'll go back to her mother's page,
Should have got rid of it.
and now there's only one Edna. She's gone from the tree. If you want to totally keep them in the tree but disengage them as a child, then you go up into the relationships. You open that person, and you can go up here, edit relationships, and you can delete the parents. And that person's gonna be floating out in your tree somewhere now. Okay?
That's right.
Maybe they have kids and they're all tied back into the family somewhere else, but they're no longer gonna be part of that family group. They'll still be in your tree, but they're not tied to that family unit anymore.
Ghost out there.
Yep, you just get rid of, X those out. And it's gonna ask you, you sure you wanna do this? Because it always asks you. It doesn't want you making mistakes.
Or like if you have the half sibling type of the situation, that's where
Yeah.
like.
That's where you go and edit those relationships. Yep.
Oh, so for that other person, then you can cross out the dad and
Mhm.
take out that same.
Yep, and add a different dad, yep. So that's where you do that, the edit relationships is a big button that you're gonna wanna know. Because that'll allow you to change up, you know, like right now, Edna, I can add her spouse, add more children, whatever I want from this window, if I wanna do it here. Like I said, there's always 3 different ways to do everything in Ancestry.com. So if I wanna add her spouse and stuff this way, I come right down here and click add spouse, add family. You add family, it's gonna ask you what kind of family, a daughter, son, sister, brother, spouse. And you can add them there. You can also add them here. Like I said, there's 3 ways to do everything. It's
See,
awesome.
sometimes, I know you don't, the other family trees, sometimes it's helpful to use them to get names and
Yes.
get a start.
Absolutely.
But
That's
you
why
have to be
you
careful.
open those in another tab.
Yeah, you gotta be
Move
careful.
them to another screen if you have it.
Right.
And you look down and you research them while you
Right,
have
yeah.
that open. And then if you want to, if you say, yeah, this is right, these are the right
Legit.
people, you can go back then to that screen, that tab, whatever, and just start copying,
Dropping things. around.
dropping them over, yeah.
Cause I have found some valuable information. You have to
Absolutely.
be careful.
There's a lot of valuable information on other people's trees. They're very helpful. They might have photos and things, it's great. Documents you never thought to look for. They might have children, you know, siblings of your ancestor that you have no idea about. But they're the ones that ended up with the family Bible or something, you know. Something like that. So there's huge value to other people's trees, but you have to do the work. Make sure you're doing the work.
Big caution on that,
Yeah,
big caution.
big caution. You want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. One thing I do, I like, when I'm looking at my pedigree chart, this is a pedigree chart, right here. When I'm looking at my pedigree chart and I get lost in my tree, sometimes that happens. You get several generations back and you have somebody open and you're like, wait a minute, which one of their kids was my direct ancestor? I can't remember. All my direct ancestors, I put in all capitals.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That way I never lose them in the tree. So if I'm clear back here somewhere and I am buried in generations of people, go clear back here. Let's open this person, see what she's all about. Frances Jeffrey in Pembury, Kent, England in 1575. I'm like, dang, oh, she only has 1 kid listed, so that's pretty obvious. But if she had multiple kids, the one that has all capitals is my ancestor. Because I'm not gonna remember who the heck was her kid again, you know, that I'm related to. So I put all capitals for my ancestors, direct ancestors. I didn't do it here, because her
Yeah,
dad,
I gotta go back and change everything.
I'm like, that's a lot of
Oh, it took me a long time to go back and change everything. I
Oh,
did.
It's a good idea though, but I guess I know it now.
You know, here's another example. You can see that I have
You know-
all of the kids listed
One thing you could
regular,
do-
except one. That's my ancestor. And I can find my ancestor that way all the time. It's just
You didn't wanna go and
What?
change,
The stipends, yeah, you're really.
if you did wanna go and change the full name, you could make all of them with all caps, last name as an ancestor.
And I've done that before. But
I
I
might-
kind of.
I might start with that.
I
Change all of
don't,
them.
I don't go through and do everybody at once. When I go into a file, I change, that's when I go in and change. So all the last names were probably all capitalized at one point in this file. But I've been in this file a lot of times. So at one point when I was in there, I went through and changed it and fixed them all. I didn't go back and go through every single person at one time. I do it as I go into a file. If you want to change something on a person on this side, you can either click on them, select them, and open their profile, and then go in and change everything from there. Or you can just click this little edit button, and it's just going to bring you right to this window. You don't have to back
Oh,
out.
you
And
can, okay.
just click on that plus, you can edit it, that's
Still not
where,
editing.
how I do it when I'm changing this, whether it's capitalized or not. I just go down the line and I hit edit, 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 and I change Davis down to smaller letters. So, but you can see, these are direct ancestors of mine,
It's excellent visual.
and this is a direct ancestor of mine. The rest are all small. So, and that's for second husband. So.
That would help out too when you have, like cousins marry or whatever, and
Yes,
you've
and that
got
happens.
grandparents that
It happens a
are
lot.
on both sides.
I have double cousins on one part of my family, where a brother married a girl, and then his sister married a girl
Yep.
brother, and they're double cousins, and,
My grandparents.
yeah, they
Sisters
married
married
siblings.
brothers.
Yeah, and that happened a lot.
You're related to them too.
I am too.
There's a spite, there's spiders.
Oh, they were spivers, yeah, I wouldn't doubt it from those spivers. So I added this person's information to her document, so now we're gonna go back out of all this search stuff. And you can see all these new people popped up now, and there's all these new records that I can start looking through and adding people and subtracting people and merging things that are duplicates and all that stuff.
Mark,
Yes, sir.
can you rearrange the tree like you can on Family Search as far as actually make it look like a tree?
I
or
need to show you
stand
that.
And all that?
Mhm.
Okay.
Over here on this side, and I was gonna show you all the different tools. If you wanna find somebody in your tree, you can click this button, blink, type it in. And this is gonna search just this tree, it's not gonna search my other tree, this is my small demonstration tree. So it'll only search this tree, and it'll bring up everybody that's named Uriah. Now, of course it has.
Because you're on the demonstration tree.
Oh, because he's not listed,
He's
look
not
at,
in your tree.
he's listed as potential, he's not in my tree. Okay.
Oh.
So let's do this, James, and it's gonna list everybody who's listed, names James, that's in the tree, okay? You can also invite people from here to participate in your tree. This is where you send them a message. You can say how you want them to participate. A guest means you're allowing them to come into your tree and look at things, comment and stuff. A contributor means they can add stuff. An editor means they can add and subtract, basically. They can go in, they have all the same rights in your tree that you do. Now, if you have a sibling that you want to share the tree
Yeah, keep it to
with,
guess.
Oh,
keep it
that-
and they're, yeah, a sibling or a parent or somebody who's really into this and knows what you know, and they're gonna help you.
I'm sorry.
That's a great place
There's
for
somebody
editing.
guessed in my tree.
Well, I have people who have added me as editor to their trees.
And I can
you
see
know,
that.
Relatives
That's
that
I
have
would
added
trust
me.
you,
Yeah, I would trust you.
but I don't know that I
but-
trust my children.
These are relatives in France that my wife never met till this summer, but they had already added me as an editor to the tree.
Wow.
So anyway, then what you do is you can add in their email so that you have their copy information, that kind of stuff.
Do they
But
have-
from here, then you copy the link and you email them and you can say, hey, I want you to be an editor in my tree or a guest or whatever. Boom. So,
Do they have to have an ancestry I would think,
That's a good question.
because they would
I
have
would
to
think
have
they
the
would.
ability to.
Go back and show him about changing the format of the tree.
To the up and down.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here,
But you kinda got.
real quickly though, if you have already invited people, it's gonna list them here, and you can delete them from that role too here. Okay.
That's good.
That's good.
Changing what? Oh,
The
the
view,
formatting?
the
Yep,
formatting.
that's, I'm working my way across here. This is possible errors. This is where
Oh, treat-
I use my
That's the
Pro Tools.
Okay.
Okay, and this is where it's gonna say, here's some issues that we see with these people that are in your tree.
And this will look at like if a husband and his wife is like 9 and 10 and they have a child.
Well, these are all the filters it'll do.
Right.
Possible
Like
duplicates,
that popped up. in
It
my-
should.
people with no sources,
Yeah.
people with only tree sources or other possible errors. And I can X these out if I only wanna look for duplicates. That kind of thing. Anyhow. So now we're coming back to this other side. This button right here is the one you were looking for.
Okay.
Right now, I have it on, kind of set as a pedigree chart. That's what everybody calls this part where it shows you, your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. But if you want to look at a vertical view of it, so it shows all the members of that family, and I'll make this small just so you can see. See, now it shows my grandpa, who's the head person in here, his parents, but then all the siblings that I've added for his mother,
Oh, sure.
and all the different generations going back. And this is the fan view, is what they usually call this. Although there's another that's a fan view. So this is the vertical, this is the fan view then.
Fan view.
Oh, I don't
There we
think
go.
I don't think I can handle that.
That one is.
These are kinda
Yeah,
cool.
I never- when you- when you
These are
have
kinda
a
cool.
big tree, and
I
you
like
do that, it's like.
I like it a lot.
So the fan view is kind
I
of
can
cool
see
because it shows all the generations going out. And if I did it with my other tree, it really gets huge. You can only go back, I think it's 4 generations without a paid
Five.
membership,
Oh,
5.
okay.
It might be 5.
Without paid, I don't know.
But you can go back 7 in the fan view with a paid membership.
Okay.
So fan settings, here's where
Okay,
you
so
can
this is-
add more generations.
Okay, I see.
So if I want to do
It only goes out
7,
so far.
it will look at potential people for my 7 generations.
So why
It's
don't
not
you go
doing
back
that.
to your real tree and then show the fan view on that one?
Go back to your Rambow tree.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see
not
what you're
your
saying.
Demonstration.
Yeah, let me get back
It also
to
color codes.
my tree. Whoops. There we go. Yeah, it'll color code and everything.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, it's in fan view, darn it.
Well, I think I brought it over from your other.
So and I can
Oh, look
shrink
at that
like
color
that.
coding.
Yeah.
Oh, now that's gonna be good.
color codes by the 4 different grandparents.
See, your mind can take it in a bit.
Now you can go in and change those colors and add more colors and that kind of stuff. That's
Oh,
all
okay.
under here.
And it sees, look at the outer rim, it shows where there's missing.
Yep.
Yes.
Parents.
That's cool, I actually
Yeah.
like that. Oh.
It is
Yeah.
really helpful.
It's-
If you want to
nice.
view your tree and say, where do I have holes? Where do I want to start? Because if you had everything filled out to here, 7 generations, and then you had something here that was missing going back, you're like, oh, I really need to start working on that.
Yeah.
Get that caught up with everybody else. So it is, it's a really cool.
It's a tool.
Okay, I never thought about it.
It's not
Use it
something
for
you
that.
want to necessarily keep it that way.
The other thing you can do is you can jump straight to that person just by clicking on them here. But you can also, through your fan settings, show who has hints and how many hints. The darker the green, the more hints. You can go in and show who has photos. The more photos, the darker the color. And see, here's where it little thing shows over
Can
here.
you change who's at the head of the fan?
What's that?
That's
Yeah.
what I was wondering.
Can you change who's at the head of the fan?
You have to
Like
change
change-
your home person.
You
Oh,
can click
whole
on
person.
somebody and make
Okay,
it
all right,
different
got
person.
it.
Yes.
Can you click on their name right there and change it to a?
You can also look at how many sources you have for each person. So if you have people that you don't have any sources for, then you're like, oh, there's
That's a red
a place I need to go work. You know, I need to get busy with
Oh, that would
those
be
people.
cool. I need to use that on mine.
Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me to look at these, because that's something I meant to.
I've never really thought about that, using the fan, because I always thought, "Ah, that's
I'll
kind of
use
green,
that
I
one
didn't
right
like
there.
it," but now that you
Sources.
show that,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you don't have a paid subscription, I think it's 4 or 5 generations that'll show you at a time. But if you have a paid, then it'll go back as far as 7 generations.
And that's not a scary thing to change that home person. You can change it.
You can change it,
Make
change it
sure
back.
you change it back.
Yes.
But like, let's say I completed everything.
You
I
can do
can,
that
and
right
I want
here.
to go up or,
Okay,
So,
so
yeah, if you go to you, instead of using,
here's
say-
your home button. You can go up into your tree settings, I think it is.
okay.
And I think this is where you can change,
Yeah.
the home person in this tree is me. You can change
So what
that.
if you changed it to your grandfather, then it would go back 2 more generations?
Go back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it would
Just
be
on his side,
Just
though.
his side.
Just his
Right.
size, yes.
Right, it would just focus on that side. But remember to go back and change it. Because
Yeah.
everything is based on that home person. When it tells you the relationship between the home person and this person, it's gonna say great grandfather. But if you changed it to somebody else, it's gonna say father or whatever, you
Right,
know?
yeah.
So,
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might, I'll definitely.
but that
use
is
that.
over here under your tree settings.
Okay.
There's a lot of cool settings, excuse me, in here. Some of them you already saw, like the invite button. That's also the invite button that's over here. Some of those kind of things. There's a tree overview
Mark,
that gives you details about your tree and how many people you have, and photographs you have and all that. Yes, sir.
just back where you at, it had the print button.
Yes,
What, does that print the tree that's
Yes.
showing there? Okay.
yeah,
Oh.
it will.
Okay.
It will, it'll print that, but you can change, you know, the different parameters and all of that.
Or you can say.
How many pages you want it to print on, whatever.
Maybe if it would be more than one page. That, like if you were doing the pedigree chart.
Yes, now if you're in the pedigree view, it's gonna give you probably more options because, look at, I opened up multiple generations here, okay? But if I wanna close those a little bit, get back to the main chart, which is me, as a home person, and I hit print. Okay, it's just printing how many people it'll fit on that page. Then you'll need to go and start printing for all the other pages.
And that's what I had to do with my family,
Yeah.
because I was on this.
And here's a neat button on print. I don't know how many of you know this when you go to print. You can also, you don't have to go to one of your printers. You can do it, save as PDF.
Yeah.
And it'll print it to your computer as a PDF rather than
You
send
can
it to
save
a
it as a
printer.
file.
So you're saving it as a PDF file on your
You
computer.
can either then print it out or you can send it to somebody
Yeah.
or.
Now, if you want to print more stuff than that, there are ways
Go-
under your,
Take one of your in people and, extend the tree out.
oh, extend the tree? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see
Okay,
what
now,
happens.
That'd
now go
work
to
great.
print and see what happens.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Because it goes
2
to a
What's the
pages.
second page?
Oh, that is,
Yeah, 2
Okay,
pages.
that's good to know.
it's too bad you can't make that landscape.
Well, you're gonna.
You can.
Yeah, you
You
can.
can make a landscape. Click on, I don't.
No, it doesn't show
It doesn't
the,
give you the-
It doesn't show landscape.
Oh, maybe because you're saving it as a PDF? It should, no.
No,
No.
it might not have that option to save it as a landscape.
I thought that I was able to do that family search, so.
Well, family search might be different than
That's
ancestry.
right.
One more settings.
more settings, it might be
So
there,
you can do
yeah.
landscape
Here you go.
There it is.
2-sided, headers, footers.
No.
Orientation should be
To
there.
letter?
It's not showing
When it
orientation.
says
No, but
paper
it's-
size,
No.
is that it?
No,
No.
no, it's not there.
Hmm.
That's
It's not there.
interesting.
That maybe
That is
someday
interesting.
eventually add it there.
I'm sure. And there's probably a way to do it that.
Or it
I
might be,
just don't know
that,
about.
you know, people, when they do this, they're gonna,
They
you wanna make it so you
Attach it.
can read it.
Yeah,
Mm.
Whereas if you did it landscape,
It would
it's gonna
be
cut off
big.
the bottom part
Yeah.
or make it too small.
Put another
Yeah.
page down here.
Yeah, instead of this way, it's each page, they can put,
It might be, put one here, one here, one here.
yeah.
May have to be.
This is list version of all the people in the tree,
Oh, wow.
500 pages.
Yeah, I don't know. That one's not quite so.
Let's see, charts and reports, tree mapper. This is what I was trying to get going before, and I was in the wrong tree. There we go. Now it's gonna show you, and you can zoom in, So I have 14 references. I have 238 people in South Dakota, 5 in Utah, you know, that kind of stuff. Now, I have my wife's family in this too, so, you know, she has Hispanic roots, and so I have 888 in New Mexico, and some down into Chihuahua, Mexico, and that sort of thing as well. So, and then you come over here, and there's Spain, Germany.
Oh my God, look at that, that's cool.
Yeah. If you get a big tree, you really can add, and you can keep zooming in, you know, because this is the Mecklenburg area the Rambows came from. And now I'm clear zoomed in on Mecklenburg, which became part of Prussia during the formation of Germany, but anyway.
Question for you on that.
Yes.
When it's putting the people in those places, that's like just based on where they,
I think it's birth, death, that kind of
like they
thing.
must have
Some kind of,
a calculation.
right, I think it's probably birth, death. Here you can narrow that down.
So where does it put somebody if they were born in Germany but
Probably both.
came to the United States?
Probably both.
Oh.
But here you can do it. You can filter by year. You can filter by location or
sure,
name.
sure.
Events and places.
This is cool. People without relationships. Let's see what that does. So if I have floaters in my tree,
Oh, sure.
they'd show up.
Your tree is perfect.
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah. You know, you give them a lot of tools today that'll help me kind of clean my tree up though, because I used to
Possible
have
errors.
view.
See, and I can
and sources
list
to
this on the
concentrate.
map by possible duplicates or people with no sources, people with only tree sources and stuff. DNA tags. And that's something we'll get into when you get into DNA, where you can map people by your cousins, you know, all your DNA cousins that are 4th, 5th, 6th cousins. You can put them on a map to show where in the world they are. And if you're looking for cousins in a particular place in Germany, you can go and see, do I have DNA relatives living there? And
That
reach
have
out.
tested,
Yeah,
only that have tested.
that have tested, right, yeah, that are part of your DNA, cousin base.
But if you did possible duplicates, then it would probably show them being born in Germany and then also living in New York at Ellis Island. or-
Duplicates would probably show people who have your tree twice.
Oh.
They would be, that's what they would mean by duplicates, yeah. People who have been listed twice, like Edna had been listed twice.
Oh, okay.
It would say possible duplicates, and it'll show them on the map rather than any other source that way. So that's kind of cool, that map. This is that is a pro,
We're 3 o'clock.
oh, we are. That is a Pro Tools thing though, that map that we're showing you. This is a Pro Tools thing here. Most common surname in your tree is Canfield, then Davis, then Sweet, and down to Cipher. So, yeah, there's some really cool tools here that are part of your Pro thing. But I generally look at my pedigree chart just when I'm doing my own research. I go here, I have a lot of leaves that I've ignored. I know people that I watch on YouTube and stuff, professional genealogists and stuff, that they ignore those leaves completely. They don't want to mess with the leaves, they see them as danger zone. They don't want to go in there.
I've noticed some of the leaves on my tree are the same photograph that 4 or 5
Yep.
other
Right.
people
Yeah.
have put on their tree.
And there's
it
4 or
comes-
5 copies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
And
like,
then
okay.
there are others that want to get rid of every leaf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The leaves bother them, and
Yeah.
I think about that and I think, how?
If
Why
I'm
would you do that?
researching a
Okay, you
person
can-
and
you
want to
can
find,
find
if I'm researching a person, want to find a specific thing, I'll look at the leaves and see if there's somebody that has that data tied to the
Okay,
tree
and you
or a
can-
document or something.
When you bring up those leaves, you can discard leaves.
Yeah, you can
say to the leaf,
ignore.
This leaf is
Yeah.
does not.
So-
pertain.
I have a hint here for this, my second great grandfather.
Is this the one whose name keeps switching?
This is the one keeps switching. He's Watson Richard, and sometimes he's Richard Watson. On the family
Yeah, and
search.
this click on ignore.
On the world tree. See, and these, all the leaves I have for him are other people's trees, and everybody has copied my information for the most part, so I ignore
Right,
it.
yes.
So down here, you can either review it, or you can ignore it. If I hit
I
ignore,
I have to do
it
ignore.
moves it into these categories. It didn't go away forever.
You can still look it up.
So there's new, 0, undecided, I haven't put anything in the undecided category, because if you open it, it'll give you an option over here, say yes, no, or maybe.
Right,
And if you click maybe, it's gonna put it in undecided. And then you can go back and look at it again. If I wanna look at all the ones I've ignored over the years, there's 17 options there. And you can see they're mostly other people's trees that I've ignored.
Then it clears that leaf.
But it clears the
Right.
leaf, yeah.
And it gets rid of your leaf.
And if I wanna look
all the time.
at what all have I already accepted, because once you accept something, it disappears from that list too. So
Yeah.
now I can go through, these are the ones I've accepted. You can see they're all document-based.
sometimes what
Find
you
a
go is
grave,
you look at those
Pension index,
other family trees and you might find like middle names
yes.
Oh, I do.
or,
Yeah, I have.
other information that you can research.
I hope this was helpful. I know we're out of time now, because we want to try to wrap up by 3, but I'll stay and answer questions if anybody has any. Yes, sir.
Take one of these.
Oh,
Or not.
no. Yeah, you can take that one, take that one.
Well, the reason why is because it's, what I was just asking you earlier about was talking about all different.
Oh, okay, all the
Okay, and
immigration.
they do have,
Records.
sign up for their email, because they do
Take
have.
it and then bring it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Next month, month
I get
after,
their email all the
I
time.
trust you to bring it back.
Okay.
They don't like it.
For the most part
I get an
though,
email from them.
I would recommend that Family Tree
Yeah,
magazine.
yeah, I get an email.
Everybody, it's awesome. You can sign up for just the print copy, or just the digital copy, or both.